Hey, what's up everybody? Josh here, and today I'm taking a look at the 85mm 1.8 RF lens from Viltrox. I'm pretty excited about it, and I'll tell you why. It kind of fills a gap in the RF lens offerings that are out there, okay? So it comes in this nice little box. Bloop. All right, so you got your warranty card, you have your instruction manual, you have a nice soft bag for the lens, and then inside, got a little molded foam. All right, here's the lens. But before we go any further, a word from our sponsor, Driver Genius, and their USB-C multi-card reader. Perfect for those photographers or filmmakers that have a machine that doesn't have an SD card reader, or maybe you shoot on a camera that uses CFast cards. This thing is compatible, and it provides read-write access for SD, micro SD, and CFast simultaneously. So you can offload all of your files at the same time, with file transfer speeds up to 5 gigabits per second. See more specs or get one for yourself in the link in the description. So as soon as you pick this thing up, you notice it's really heavy. Now a prime lens that's worth its salt, it should be a little bit heavy because of the glass elements in there. And if you take a look at the front of this thing, that is a big piece of glass. Now, we got a lens hood that's made of plastic and it clicks into place. And this focus ring right here, this thing is as smooth as butter. Over here you got your autofocus, manual focus switch. This is wired focus, by the way. Not a big surprise these days. And if we take off the rear cap, you'll notice that there's actually a little USB-C port for updating firmware. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to have a dock to update the firmware on this thing. Now, things this doesn't have for an RF lens, this does not have a second programmable wheel. It just has the autofocus wheel on there. And before we go any further, let me just say that this is not going to be an overly technical review. I'm just going to take the lens out, shoot some video, and report back on how it performs. So let's take a look at some pictures here. So this was shot at 1.8, and you can see the camera facial detection did a really good job picking up the dog here, especially with him moving around so much. Nice and sharp on the eye, and the lens definitely held up its end of the bargain. Go to the next one. Same thing, nice and sharp. You can really see the detail in the fur. And again, just a great shot, again at 1.8. And then if we go to this shot here, this is 1.8 as well. You can see on the right eye here, nice and sharp. You can really see the detail in the hair. And just at 1.8, it just softens everything up and looks great, even on an impromptu shoot like this. So as far as sharpness goes, this is at 2.8, so that's starting to look really nice in the detail on our focused area. And then this is at 3.5, and 3.5 is really where I start noticing that there is a lot of detail, a lot of sharpness. So I would say, based on my tests going up 4.5, 5.6, every lens kind of has its own sweet spot in terms of sharpness, and I'd say 3.5 is probably where it's at for this one. So I shot some photos and a video with this guy, and I have to say the autofocus worked supremely well, both in still and video mode. And with face detection on the Canon RP, it worked beautifully, super smooth, except of course when it hit that 2.8 minimum focus distance. When comparing lens flare between the Canon and the Viltrox is significantly streakier, so just keep that in mind. You're probably going to want to avoid those sorts of situations with this lens. There was one point when I was sitting up in my loft just pointing the camera at random things, and it was having some trouble finding focus. It was hunting a bit, couldn't lock on to some pretty obvious edges, or what I thought was obvious, and it wasn't really that dark, so just keep that in mind. So for you bokeh fans out here, here are some lights at f1.8, and here are some lights at f4.5, and if I zoom in here, you can kind of see the shape. It's a 9-blade aperture so it keeps the bokeh nice and round. So earlier I said that this lens fills a particular gap in RF lens offerings, and for $399, that's a great price for a lens of this quality. So what are your other options? Well, Canon does sell this 85mm 2.0 lens with image stabilization. It's also a macro lens, so it's going to be a lot more versatile. However, it is $599. Now with those features, I mean, that's a pretty good deal. It's more a question, do you actually need those features, and what's your budget? Are you trying to save a few bucks? Are you shooting video with this thing? Because if you are shooting video, image stabilization is going to be an issue since the Viltrox doesn't have it. Of course, if you're shooting RF, your camera should have some form of in-body stabilization, so you can always turn that on and play around with it. But for the most part, the Viltrox is going to be mostly for stills or for video, just using it on a tripod. So overall, this thing has snappy performance. I'm really happy with it, really happy with the build quality. It feels very professional, and I'd highly recommend it, especially if you're looking for a prime on a budget. Definitely the way to go at this price point. So that's pretty much all I have for you today, guys. If you have more questions about this lens, drop them in the comments below, or if you want me to put this through a particular test, I'm happy to do it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.